Hello then. Sorry for that long, awkward wait of silence. I forgot to add myself to my aims own stream. Yeah, I'm gonna switch that tab out. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep looking at. I'm gonna keep hearing myself over and over again, and that is not nice. Anyway, so welcome to another fresh episode of Bigmouthaiman's Echo Chamber. Uh, we will be talking about a lot of socio-political issues that obviously we come across on a day-to-day basis. Today, I thought we would, talk about something that has been kind of been developing for over a decade now. There's this one particular case that I wanted to look at, whether it is in terms of just, in terms of its legal aspects or of just how grave it is. So we will be talking about um, the case of Bilkis Bano. And before I go further into this, thank you for joining, for to whoever has joined so far. And if you're watching this here and now, that's great, that's wonderful. And if you wish to help me out by, by whatever means, you can subscribe to the channel. And once the video ends, once the stream ends, you can share it with your friends if you like it, and also leave a comment or something. And don't forget to subscribe also, obviously. So we will, as I said, be talking about the case of Bilkis Mano. And I understand that it's a very strange title for something like this. It's my title itself says uh, it's the trial of Bilkis Bano, even though she's not the one who is on trial. But at the same time, given the political scenario that we found ourselves in, it's not, uh, you know, uh, out of reach or too much of a reach to assume to say put it like this, that it doesn't matter who the victim is in any case. Uh, if there is a Muslim person involved, the perpetrator, it doesn't matter what it is, it's always a Muslim person who's going to be in trial. We've seen that. We've seen that time and again with multiple cases. And yeah, so that is why I've made this conscious decision of calling this episode The Trial of Bilkis Bano. Now, I'm just going to, okay, I'm just going to start with why this thing has come back, right? Because why has this thing come back again? It's because just recently, as recently as last week, the Supreme Court dismissed the plea that Bilkis Bano had submitted in the Gujarat High Court to review the ruling that asked for the remission of, to examine the remission of the 11 people who sexually assaulted Bilkis Bano when she was pregnant and killed her entire family during the Gujarat riots of 2001. So 2002, sorry. So yeah, we all know that this Independence Day wasn't like while everyone in this country was celebrating the, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav or whatever. Uh, that on one hand, everyone was celebrating that. On the other hand, the Gujarat High Court, with the help of the center, had released the 11 people who were accused of murdering Bilkis Bano's entire family. So to give you, I know this is from 2002. So a lot of people who follow me and who watch me and who have been following me for all this time are not necessarily aware of the facts of this case, of what happened, what didn't happen, how it ended, and all of that. So I'm going to be covering that from a statement by PUCL. The statement was released on 18th August 2022, this last year, condemning the remission of the sentence that 11 convicts in the Bilkis Bano case were released. So the PUCL, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the People's Union for Civil Liberties. Now I'm going to read this entire statement for you so that you have context of that. But at the same time, I'm also going to be showing you, like going through the entire case of Bilkis Bano with you because it's something that I really wanted to talk about. So just give me a moment to give you kind of a brief this thing on that, right? So let's go back to 2002. What happened? Like, what's the backdrop of this particular case? So, yep, we will go through the backdrop of this case and then how it has, yes, and how it has uh, kind of developed over the years. So, oopsie, I closed the tab from which I was supposed to read. Huh. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right. So I hope you can hear me. I hope you can all hear me. You can all hear me, right? Like the one person who is in the live stream. I hope you can hear me. Oh, there's nobody in the live stream. That's okay. I miss you. Should I put this? Should I tweet a link? I think I should tweet the link. Oh, okay. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Yep. So we're back. Oh, I have to remove these headphones because then I can see myself 4 times and hear myself like even more. So, so let's see. All right then. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them at a later point in the during the live. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have, and please tell me if you can hear me and see me clearly. Okay. So, as I said earlier, we are going to be talking about the Bilkis Bano case of 2002 and everything that has followed with respect to that particular case. So, to give you a background of this specific case, so in 2002, what happened is that uh, there's this there's this other incident that leads up to the Gujarat riots, right? It didn't just it's not something that just happened overnight, right? So there is this one particular accident or incident or whatever you call it. Uh, so in 2002, the Gujarat violence did not just happen overnight, right? So what happened is that there was this train, this Godhra train, which was full of Hindu car sevaks and devotees, Hindu devotees, and that train somehow caught fire. Now, uh, we don't know if the fire was an accident or what it was, but Sabarmati Express, that particular train, is said to have been attacked by a Muslim mob, which is, again, an allegation. It's an entire made up conjecture. Why is my voice echoing? I'm gonna wait for it to go away. Okay. 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 Why is it echoing? I'm just gonna do one thing. Okay. Is it? Oh, okay, it's not. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Never mind. Never mind. All right then. Oh no, this is my audio is not good. 1 second. Give me 2 minutes. All right. There's still an echo. Audio. Uh-huh. Echo cancellation. Okay, please tell me this works. Okay, this is better. Got it. Anyone in the chat? Anyone in the chat who can tell me if you can hear me? Like, if am I audible still? I'm gonna have to remove this because uh, I don't like to hear myself twice and thrice. And yes, oh, never mind. This thing is out of charge. Sad life. Anyway, so hopefully you can hear me, and I'm going to continue talking about the case of Bilkis Bano. So, who exactly is Bilkis Bano, and what is the Godhra incident? So, on 27th of February 2002, the Sabarmati Express train was said to have been attacked at Godhra by a Muslim mob as part of a conspiracy. Uh, as a result of said conspiracy, 58 Hindu pilgrims died, including 25 women and 15 children. And these people were returning from Ayodhya and they were killed in the attack. This is said to have prompted attacks against Muslims and a general communal riot on large scales. Uh, as a result of it, 790 Muslims were killed. And apart from the numerous number of people that were killed, there were 523 places of worship that were damaged, 298 dargahs, 205 mosques, 17 temples, and 3 churches. And at the same time, Muslim owned businesses suffered the bulk of the damage, and 61,000 Muslims and 10,000 Hindus fled their homes. Now, while initial reports have blamed the Muslim mob, quote unquote, for setting this train to fire and blah blah blah, whatever it is, there has been really no convictions of the same. There have been there's no proof to this particular conjecture that it could very well have been an accident, right? It could very well have been an accident. But at the same time, this was used very conveniently in Gujarat to start large scale riots. Riots, I say in quotes, because this was a program where Muslim people were disproportionately killed, right? So, and this happened in primarily in Gujarat, where our beloved Prime Minister was the Chief Minister at the time, the CM of Gujarat, right? Now, let's go back to the aftermath of the Godhra incident, right? So, these 11 men who were convicted and guilty, found guilty of sexually assaulting Bilkis Bano, killing his entire family, including her 3-year-old toddler, I think 1-year-old or 3-year-old toddler, while they were on the run, trying to escape, these riots that were happening in their surroundings. These 11 men have been convicted of that, right? In 2000, and in this Independence year, while we were celebrating the, you know, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, uh, this particular date was also set, preemptively suggested, or whatever, to release these murderers and rapists from jail, because that is exactly the kind of country we're living in, right? So, but at the same time, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the people who follow me now were not born in 2002, or aren't 90s children who remember living all of this, or have only heard about these things in the news or in passing, and don't really know exactly what happened during that time, right? So on February 28th, this is the story of Bilkis Bano. On February 28th, 2002, Bilkis ran from her village, Radhipur in Doha district, after her family and her found out that there have been incidences of violence erupting in the state because of the Godhra station incident, in which Sabarmati Express was set on fire. Now, obviously, they knew that a lot of car sevaks and devotees returning from Ayodhya had passed away in that particular incident. Now, Bilkis, with her daughter, was 3.5 years old, 3.5 years old at the time, and 15 other family members, they ran away from that village because they knew that बहुत दंगे हो रहे हैं, आग लग रही है. Uh, Bilkis had come home for Bakri Eid and she was pregnant at the time, so she'd come home to visit her village for those purposes. On 3rd March 2002, the family reached Chapadwar village. Now, during this time, they were attacked by 20 to 30 people armed with sickles, swords, and sticks. And among these attackers were the 11 accused men who were recently released. Now, Bilkis and her mother and three other women from her family were, were raped and assaulted during this when they were attacked. Of the 17-member group of Muslims who had ran from Bilkis's village, 8 were dead, 6 were missing. Only Bilkis, a man, and a 3-year-old survived the attack. And the only reason Bilkis Bano survived the attack was because she passed out. She was unconscious after the attack. And what happened is that the attackers thought she was dead and they left her to die. Right? And after waking up, after gaining consciousness, Bilkis wakes up, finds out her entire, family is dead around her. She borrows clothes from an Adivasi woman and meets the home guard, who then takes her to the Limkheda police station. There, she files a complaint with the head constable, and who, as per the CBI, and this obviously this investigation did not happen at the state level. It was passed on to higher authorities. So, according to CBI, this head constable suppressed material facts and wrote a distorted and truncated version of her complaint. Obviously, this was the time during which the what do you call it, the wound to the right or the aftermath mass of the right, people were not, they were still looking at Hindus and Muslims from that particular lens. So Gujarat was not really a safe place for uh, someone who had just, gone through what Bilkis Banu had gone through and to have a complaint registered properly. Bilkis was then taken to after the botched up FIR was filed. Bilkis was taken to a public hospital and for medical examination. And this is only after she had reached the Godhra relief camp. Her obviously hearing about the case, this was taken up by the National Human Rights Commission and the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court then asked the CBI to investigate it because they knew that there was, if this case remained in Gujarat, knowing the people, the wonderful people who are in power in Gujarat, Bilkis Bano would not get justice. And what did CBI find in this investigation? So the CBI concluded, as per the post-mortem examination that was carried out not very nicely, and and every medical procedure, every legal procedure that followed the Bilkis Bano case was botched up because these are the people in power were trying to protect those who were perpetrating these horrible crimes, right? For whatever reason, for communal reasons, for religious reasons, for political gain, we don't know. Actually, we do, but we don't comment on that. So CBI investigators exhumed the bodies. They removed the bodies from the grave and said that none of the 7 bodies had skulls. And the reason for that is that, so when a body is decomposed or is disposed of, the only thing that can tell you, okay, can I make help you identify, uh, you know, who the body belonged to is their dental records, right? On the skull, the dental records, bones, whatever, because the flesh obviously decomposes. Now, because they wanted the bodies to remain unidentified, the head of the corpses had been chopped off after the autopsy so that the bodies could not be identified. So naturally, after realizing how botched up the autopsy itself was, The trial was moved out from Gujarat to Maharashtra after Bilkis continued to receive death threats because uh, Bilkis was asked and was essentially being pressured to withdraw this case, right? Naturally. So, in after the trial moved to Bombay, charges were filed against these 19 men, including 6 police officers and a government doctor. Because obviously, this none of this could have been possible without the police. The Gujarat riots would not have escalated to the point that they did escalate to if the police did not support the rioters, or did not essentially conspire with them and did not cover up for them. There is no reason why these riots went on for as long as they did and killed as many people as they did without the help of the police. So naturally, Bilkis Bano, then the case of Bilkis Bano was moved from Gujarat to Maharashtra. Uh, and like I said, in the Mumbai court, the charges were filed against 19 men, including 6 police officers and a government doctor. In January 2008, a special court convicted 11 accused of conspiring to rape a pregnant woman, murder, unlawfully assemble, and of charges under other sections of the Indian Penal Code. I'm guessing there were probably charges of, rioting, outraging a woman's modesty, etc., etc. I'm sure there were like a bunch of charges against these men. Even the head constable that I mentioned earlier was convicted of making incorrect records to save accused. The other 7, so we know that 19 people were on under trial. 11 were convicted. The 7 people, the 7 other, rest of them were acquitted by the court, citing the lack of evidence. And one of them had died during the course of the trial, which I think is good riddance. Now, so we have the names of these wonderful, wonderful men, right? So the court held that Jaswant Bhai Nai, Govind Bhai Nai, and Naresh Kumar Modia, deceased now, had raped Bilkis while Shailesh Bhatt had killed her daughter, Saleha, by smashing her head on the ground. And Bilkis Bano says that these were people who were her neighbors. These were people who knew her and who she grew up with. So it is not an exaggeration when marginalized people think that that there are no friends in the first place, people who they need to be afraid of or careful about is the neighbors, because they're the ones who they're going to see. Uh, they're the people who they're going to see in what do you call it, in the mobs who are trying to come and kill you and your family. So yeah, that is definitely not an exaggeration on part of you know marginalized people who say that there is you can't really trust your neighbors or your friends in cases of in a scenarios like this, right? Obviously you can easily find the names of the other convicts as well. I'm going to share the link of this particular case that this particular article that I'm reading from, and you can take a look at it at a later time. The link is right here. So don't worry about that. I'll share it with you. I'll put it in the description as well so that you guys can see it. All right. So what was the reaction? Obviously, so People's Union for Civil Liberties uh, put out this statement after the remission of the 11 people who were convicted. And obviously, these people were convicted for good behavior in prison. Not to be carceral, but no, you know what? I'm going to be carceral for this just 1 second. How does good behavior for 11 years undo the fact that you are, in fact, a rapist and a murderer? It's just surprising to me. It's just really surprising to me. Not only were these people released, Bilkis Bano's plea, like I mentioned in the beginning, her plea was dismissed the plea that she had submitted, the petition that she had submitted against the Gujarat government's ability to use its remission policy to release the 11 men convicted of sexually assaulting her family, and murdering them during 2002 Gujarat riots. Uh, so here's the PUCL statement. So 11 convicts charged with charges of gang rape of a pregnant woman, multiple murders walked out free. The release of the 11 convicts, even as many other accused of less serious offences remain in jail, and is an arbitrary exercise of power having dangerous political overtones. It marks the idea of a democracy based on rule of law, which when those accused serious offences, including rape and murder, are arbitrarily released, even as those who are falsely accused of crimes continue to languish in jail. This essentially is pointing out to the fact that while these people are, the crazy guy is saying hi, the crazy guy. Yeah. So this is pointing out to the fact that while the authorities, the legal authorities, the courts in our country have the jurisdiction to release rapists from jail, there are multiple political prisoners languishing in jails right now, uh, whose only crime is that they protested against an unconstitutional law, or you know did not want to stand for a divided country. This includes the student activists in jail right now, one of them being Umar Khalid, who was out for 7 days to attend his sister's wedding, and is now back in jail. And given the kind of, this is what it's talking about, that there are so many people who are languishing in jails right now because of, made up crimes that they happen to, that they happen to be accused of committing, but they haven't really. But yeah, the court has time to dismiss petitions against, you know, asking to review this decision of releasing 11 convicted rapists and also releasing them. So yeah. The release of the accused sends out a chilling message that the most heinous crimes, including rape and murder, when committed against the minority community, are not crimes. This has fatal repercussions for the future of the Indian democracy. On March 3rd, 2002, Bilkis Bano from Randikpur village of Dahod district, Gujarat, was 21 years old and 5 months pregnant when she was gang raped. Three other women, including her mother, were also gang raped in front of the men of their family. Bilkis' 3-year-old daughter Saleha was murdered, and as the accused smashed her head with a stone, and 7 members of her family were brutally murdered. All those who committed this gruesome act of brutality were people she knew from her neighborhood. Again, giving background of this is exactly what was happening. These are people who she knows, people who she probably saw growing up, and only for her to realize that these are the people who are going to kill her entire family. Now, um, it's very telling that it doesn't matter how civilized, quote unquote, we get. The one way in which men want to establish power and dominance or emasculate the opponent or the person they see as their enemy is by attacking the women of their quote unquote enemies, right? Because ultimately you view women as uh, the prize or an object that is attached to the community. You don't see women as equal members of the said community, right? Because why are men not being sexually assaulted in front of women of their community? Because men are not seen as properties in such a manner. It's women who are seen as properties in such a manner, which is why women are sexually assaulted in front of the men of their communities. This is something that has been historically documented, which is another aspect of this particular case, right? Now, because the public outrage, this entire case was taken to the Supreme Court, and CBI was ordered to carry out the investigation. In 2004, the accused in the case were arrested and the trial began in Ahmedabad. However, due to apprehensions over the trial being conducted in Gujarat, fearing evidence tampering and threats to the witness, the trial was transferred to Maharashtra by the Supreme Court. On January 21st, 2008, the special CBI court sentenced the 11 accused to life imprisonment. on the charges of conspiring to rape a pregnant woman, murder, and unlawful assembly under the Indian Penal Code. The court acquitted 7 other accused for lack of evidence, and one of the accused had died during the trial. In January 2018, the Bombay High Court upheld the conviction of the accused. The case was carried to the Supreme Court, which obviously again upheld the convictions. Thereafter, one of the accused, Radhesham Shah, approached the Gujarat High Court seeking remission on the sentence under Section 432 and 433 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, the CRPC. The Gujarat High Court dismissed his plea, saying that since the trial has been concluded in the state of Maharashtra, the application for premature release must be filed in the state of Maharashtra and not in the state of Gujarat, as prayed by the petitioner. The petitioner approached the Supreme Court. The court, in its order dated 13th May 2002, held that the crime in the instant case was not in the state of Gujarat. Wait, no. That the Supreme Court, the petitioner approached the Supreme Court. The court, in its order dated 13th May 2002, held that the crime in the instant case was admittedly committed in the state of Gujarat, and ordinarily the trial was to be conducted in the same state. And in terms of Section 423(7) of CRPC, the appropriate government in the ordinary course would be the state of Gujarat, but the instant case was transferred in exceptional circumstances by this court for limited purpose for trial and disposal to the neighborhood state of Maharashtra by an order dated 6th August 2004. But after the conclusion of the trial and the prisoner being convicted, to transfer to the state where the crime was committed, which is Gujarat, which remains the appropriate government for the purpose of Section 432(7) of the CRPC. This is the remission, essentially the Remission Act, which has been spoken about. So, all in all, the courts, the convicted people who want to reduce their, their, what do you call it? Their sentence, are now going from court to court to figure out how they can reduce this particular sentence, isn't it? So, to the two people who have joined, A, are you bored? And B, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because I can hear myself. Anyway, so right, the policy with which the petitioner must be governed, applicable in the state of Gujarat on the date of conviction, is dated from 9 July 1992. This is the 1992 Remission Act, under which people who are accused of and convicted of very non-serious crimes are released. Now, based on the order of the Apex Court, the government of Gujarat formulated a committee to consider the release of the accused and found it fit to allow the premature release of these accused. Recently, the Ministry of Home Affairs, central government, issued a notice on the special remission module to grant remission to prisoners as part of the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and directed the states to take necessary action to expedite the process. The notice says to prisoners to be released on 15th August 2002, 26th January 2023, and 5th August 2023, after due consideration by the committees formulated at the state level. However, the guideline clearly mentions that the policy will not be applicable for prisoners convicted of rape. Now, we're both sitting here wondering, how is it possible if this particular, hi, Vimo is here. Yes, you're audible. Yes, Vimo, my mic gave away. It's out of charge, even though I haven't used it the entire day. So I'm using this not so very nice mic. So I hope you can hear me. Anyway, as I was saying, so because of this particular remission policy, even under that policy, if you're accused of grave offenses like murder and sexual assault, you are not going to be released. But these people were still released, which is, again, not something that the state government decided to do, woke up one day and decided to do. No, it was something that the central government also had a part in, naturally, because of the special remission module. Because और किसी को आजादी मिले ना मिले हिंदुस्तान में, criminals को मिलनी चाहिए. Jatin Tripathi. Hi, Jatin. Jatin was the only person who was with me and Purusharthi the other day while we were trauma dumping on each other. I was really upset because last time I was doing this, last week when I was supposed to do this live, what do you call it? It just kind of it didn't work because my camera was not proper and my audio was glitchy, and I was so upset about it. I even messaged my mom like, Bima, I don't think I'm cut for live videos and live video podcasts, and he was just like, I'm gonna just record videos and post them maybe. And I'm just like, huh, good idea. I even cried to Swapnil. I was like, Swapnil, what if I didn't, what if I'm not cut for this? And he says, एवन लाइफ में भसड़ होता ही रहता है लाइफ में भसड़ होता है I'm just like okay fine fair enough then you know like मैं क्या करूं मुझे क्या मैं तो बंदर हूँ I believe I'm still with you when I walk in the room I can still make the whole place shimmer and when I'm in the band after you have a minute oh let's shout as we Vimo is live nine is going to go live at 9:30 yes मैं Vimo का live join करूंगा after I'm done with mine I'm going to join Vimo's live. Anyway, continuing to the PUCL statement, which gives us a lot of context about this particular case. Now, like I said, the guidelines clearly mention the policy will not be applicable for prisoners convicted of rape. Similarly, as per the resolution, other resolutions dated January 2014 of the Gujarat Home Department, prisoners convicted of gang rape, group murder, or two or more members would not be allowed for this kind of, remission. They would not be released prematurely. In any case, this is a discretionary release which has to be exercised on objective basis. In the present case, where the Supreme Court had itself felt that the situation in Gujarat was not ripe for handling the trial, and the victim and her family were constantly under pressure and threat, the discretion should not have been exercised to release the persons. It was also incumbent in the context of the case to ascertain the views and apprehensions of Bilkis and her family before any decision was taken. Bilkis has not gone back to live in her house ever since this incident because she still receives death threats. She still does not give out her address. Her family is still unsafe after all these years. Even after the people who committed these crimes, at least a majority of them are still convicted. So, given the fact that the state of, you know, her circumstances were not even considered, it says a lot about the priorities of our judicial system. Beautiful, lovely judicial system that we have. But anyway, it should be noted that under Section 435 of the CRPC, if the case was investigated by the CBI, the power of remission is awarded to the state government in a case that is investigated by the CBI, and it should not be exercised by the government except after consultation of the central government. This again goes to show that the central government had a part to play, had a big part to play in the remission of the people accused in the Bilkis Bano case. Like, there is no other way these people would be out. They're only out because the central government meddled in this. So, the arbitrary release of these 11 convicts sends a rude shock to the nation, raising several questions as to how the state of Gujarat has arrived at this decision. How has the central government remained silent after affirming decisions on such matters? I mean, the decisions to grant remission should be consultative, fair, informed, and reasonable. Here it is evident that the state has abused the discretionary power awarded to it. This decision also marks the efforts of the human rights defenders in the country who have been walking a difficult path to seek justice for the most vulnerable in this country. Bilkis and Yaqub did not give up their faith in the state for nearly 17 years and fought tooth and nail for justice. The family today is again pushed into darkness for fear, their faith shaken, and their world shattered. So this was the PUCL, People's Union of Civil Liberties, statement on the remission and premature release of the 11 people accused of raping and murdering, raping Bilkis Bano and murdering her entire family in the process. So yeah, And the reason why I wanted to do this was because the Supreme Court has recently rejected a review plea by Bilkis Bano against the judgment which allowed the application of Gujarat's 1992 policy for the remission of these 11 particular convicts. This happened. Oh, now, this order was passed by Justice Ajay Rastogi and Justice Vikram Nath. Bilkis Bano, okay. No, now Bilkis' plea says that the May 13th judgment, which talks about remission, contended that the remission policy of state of Maharashtra should apply in the present case instead of the 1992 remission policy of Gujarat. Since the trial of the case happened in Maharashtra, it was the CBI who looked over this trial, right? So because of that, um, Bilkis Bano Bilkis Banu's review petition says that the appropriate, uh, you know, remission policy that should be applied here should be of the state of Maharashtra as opposed to the state of Gujarat. And the Supreme Court replied by saying that the remission of the convicts in the case should be considered as per the policy existing at the time of conviction in the state where the crime was actually committed, which means that it does not matter where the trial happened. What matters is that the policy that existed at the time of conviction and in the state where the crime actually committed should be taken into consideration. मतलब कि it doesn't matter कि आपका ट्रायल कहाँ हो रहा है और क्राइम क्या है, जिस वक्त कन्विक्शन हुआ और जिस स्टेट में क्राइम कमिट हुआ है, आप वहां का रेमिशन पॉलिसी अप्लाई करेंगे practically, basically देखा जाए तो this is the basis on which Bilkis Bano's review petition was dismissed by the Supreme Court. The top court's judgment came on a petition filed by one of the convicts, Radhe Shyam Bhagwan naam hai uska, Shah and Lala Vakil, seeking direction to the state of Gujarat to consider his application for premature release under the policy dated July 9th, 1992, which was existing at the time of his conviction. Now, when he was convicted in 2004, I think, when he was convicted in 2004, am I audible? Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, this particular person, Radhesham Bhagwanda Shah, filed a plea petition in the state of Gujarat so that his sentence would be reduced and he could be prematurely released. And this was done under the policy which was dated 1992, which was at the time of his conviction, I think in 2004 or something. This was the policy that was, that existed at the time. The Supreme Court said in the May 13th verdict, the conviction verdict, that the crime was committed in Gujarat and ordinarily the trial should be concluded in the same state in terms of the section 432(7) of CRPC, and the appropriate government in the ordinary course will be Gujarat government. So since the crime happened in Gujarat, all proceedings, including plea for remission, has to be considered as per the policy of the Gujarat government. Pursuant to the May 13th judgment of the top court, the Gujarat government had granted remission to 11 convicts who had gang raped and murdered Bano's family during the riots. The convicts who had been sentenced to life imprisonment were released by the Gujarat government ahead of the assembly polls in the state. This is also another aspect of this particular case. So, not only was this thing, Augusta has heard the order, could guess the bench. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's two very caste Hindu men who are passing these judgments. Augusta is saying, hi, Augusta. Yes, you're audible. Thank you so much, Jatin. So again, going back to what I was saying, going back to what I was saying, the 11 convicts who had been, who had been convicted of gang rape and murder was sentenced to life imprisonment and released by the Gujarat government ahead of the assembly polls. This is another aspect of this. This is not something that happened randomly. They didn't just do this because, oh, हमारा दिल बहुत बड़ा है हमको, rapists and murderers को suddenly उनको मौका देना है to have a better life. No, this was done ahead of the polls. This was done as a this was a preparation for the Gujarat elections. Not only was this done to send a message to Muslim minorities and other marginalized communities that this is what is going to happen to you, अगर आप expect करते हो for the judicial system for the courts to come to your rescue, they are not going to come to your rescue first of all, and this is exactly what is going to happen to you and your family uh, if you're a minority in this country. And this was a very politically motivated move. This was done right before the elections in Gujarat. This was done in preparation for the election in Gujarat. There was when Afzal Guru was hung, the judgment, part of the judgment read that to satisfy the collective consciousness of this country, he's been sentenced to death. So it doesn't surprise me that the collective consciousness of this country has always been bloody and has always asked for blood. So I am not surprised that this is another thing that, something that something to think about, no? Jatin is saying, I don't know why the chats reach you like 5 minutes after we type them. That's because I'm not keeping an eye on the, comments. And ये 9:24 को भेजा था, ये 9:24 को आ गया है. I believe the words were quench the collective bloodlust. Yes, yes, that's exactly what I was going for. Thanks, Jatin. So yeah, this was done to, like Jatin said, to quench the collective bloodlust of this country, which is a law and which craves a certain kind of blood, a certain kind of marginalized, Muslim blood, which this country constantly, periodically craves for. So yeah, apart from the review petition, which challenges the May 13th verdict, which was the remission policy, Bilkis Bano has also separately filed the review petition, filed a writ petition challenging Gujarat government's decision to release the convicts. And Justice Bela M. Trivedi had rescued from the matter on Monday, December 13th. So December 13th, when this order was supposed to be heard, but was not for whatever reason. And here, let me show you the writ petition. All right, I'm going to share my screen and show you this particular order. I feel like you should look at it. Yes, can you see it? So, in the Supreme Court of India, inherent jurisdiction, Bilkis Yaqub resolved the petitioner and Union of India and others. Application for listing in open court is rejected. Delay condo. In the present view, petition has been filed at the instance of victim with an application seeking permission the court to file review petition against the final judgment dated May 13th May 2022. Permission granted. The review has referred to the following judgments of the court. We have pursued the review of petitions as well as in our opinion, there appears no error apparent on the face of the record, which may call for review. Blah blah blah. No case for review is made out. The review petition is accordingly dismissed. So yeah, this was our beautiful Supreme Court's decision. So yeah. So that was the case. That was the trial of Bilkis Bano. And this is a lot has been said and done in terms of this case. But this review plea being dismissed says a lot and sends a very clear message that there is no justice in courts. There is no justice in this justice system. There is only justice for upper caste, upper class, able-bodied, wealthy men. If you're not any of these people, if you're not part of this group, then there is no justice for you. The justice system, the criminal justice system, the judicial system is designed to help only a very specific set of people. The system is designed to help and cater to only Brahmin men. And if you're not an able-bodied upper caste Hindu man, then there is very little that this court can do for you. Maybe they can like convict 11 people, but they might have to release them also. So yeah. Anyway, and another fun thing that I should tell you. So the CGI, the Chief Justice of India, asked Bilkis' lawyer not to repeat plea for new bench for remission challenge. And you know who this our wonderful CGI is? It's Chandrachud, who is hailed by liberals as this, very progressive, extremely progressive person, right? So this is another headline, by the way. I'm just going to read it out. So recently, this is from December, 14th December, after after that other Trivedi person did not read, rescued himself from that petition. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud on Wednesday asked her not to keep mentioning the same thing again and again, and that it was very irritating. I don't know, man. If someone's family was murdered and they were brutally sexually assaulted, and they wanted their, I don't know, the people who murdered and gang raped them to not be released, I think that would be more irritating than having to hear so many pleas. And maybe if you hadn't released all those people, you wouldn't be, you wouldn't have to hear all these pleas. Jatin says Chandrachud was fun while he was romancing Aishwarya and Josh. It's been downhill since then. It has, hasn't it? I think this thing, judgment that Chandrachud was, he was part of the bench. That judgment was like the nail in the coffin. I don't know why people still think of him as this progressive, wonderful dude, bro, that is going to bring about change just because he's like got slightly nice things to say about the LGBTQ community or whatever. Just because he's slightly less homophobic than our previous CGIs, people, the liberals in our wonderful country hail him as some kind of, savior of justice or whatever. So 11 accused of. So according to Bar and Branch, Advocate Shobha Gupta, who appears for Bilkis Bano, told a bench comprising Chief Justice Chandrachud and Justice P.S. Narasimha that petition against the Gujarat government's decision to release the prisoners had been listed a day ago, but was not taken up by the court because May 13th ko it was supposed to be heard, but that other person did not hear it, right? What's kya naam hai iska? What happened after that? Where was the person? Where is it? I think it's the one here, this particular one. I'm not sure. I lost that case. No, where was it? Ah, where is it? Best believe I'm still with you. I know I can still make the home. Yes, so Shobha Gupta brought up, this is Bilkis's lawyer representing Bilkis Bano, said that the writ petition that they filed against the Gujarat government's decision to release the prisoners had been listed but was not taken up by the court. Now, Chandrachud says, according to Bar and Bench, this is the writ will be listed. Don't keep mentioning the same thing again and again. Very irritating. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why you think it's irritating for you to do your job or be reminded that you have a job to do. I think what would be more irritating is if the people convicted of murdering my family were released. I think that. Yes, Bela M. Trivedi had rescued herself from hearing Bano's petition. So several PILs also are pending in Supreme Court challenging the release of these convicts. That's because it's not just Bilkis Bano who has a problem with rapists being released. It's a problem that this entire country has. Right? I hope so. Like I'm hoping it's an entire country problem. So yes, yeah. Anyway, it's been a shit show. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. There's nothing that can be done here. I'm sorry, guys. That's just. Could you share the link of the article with the CGI? I made the check. 1 second. I'm just giving it to you. It's right here. I've been looking at it. It's from the Wire. I'm going to put all of these articles that I'm referring to in the description below so that you guys have access to that. I'm also putting the. Okay, did you get the? This is the link to the article of Chandrachud saying that it's very irritating that, Bilkis Bano's lawyer is asking why her petition was not heard. Just really fucking awful, honestly. It's really awful. It's just CGI Chandrachud had earlier said that there was no reason to mention the matter again and again on Wednesday. However, one of the judges on the bench, Justice Bila Trivedi, had rescued from the matter during the Tuesday hearing. Basically, she had refused to hear it. Like, she did not list it in the court to be heard. Trivedi was the deputed as the law secretary of the Gujarat government during 2004 and 2006. Not surprising. Justice Rastogi then asked the case to be given to a bench which does not compromise with either Justice Trivedi or himself because they didn't want to hear this case. And Rastogi had authored the verdict that allowed the Gujarat government to consider remission pleas of the convict. So, of course, this would be a conflict of interest because he's the one who had given or who'd written the verdict, who passed the verdict that allows the Gujarat government to, release these people who were convicted, right? And it's just funny to me, honestly. Not funny, haha, funny what the fuck. I'm I'm Spartan. I still even stare with you. Okay, I'm just gonna continue reading this. In May, a bench led by Justice Astogi had said that the Gujarat government had the jurisdiction to consider the remission pleas of the convicts since the crime took place in Gujarat. The apex court bench had overturned Gujarat High Court's earlier ruling that remission pleas must be considered by the state of Maharashtra since the trial was transferred out of Gujarat for obvious reasons. So basically, they're saying the same thing. So Gujarat government has said that trial Maharashtra mein hota, the convicts should be submitting their pleas to for premature release in Gujarat, and then Maharashtra government said, "No, crime Gujarat mein hua tha. It doesn't matter where the trial happened. The crime itself had taken place in Gujarat." And these are just inconsequential fucking bits and pieces that these people are fighting over. Now, because of this, the bench to which the case had been initially set was left without judges. So when Gupta appointed, Gupta being Bilkis Bano's Shobha Gupta, Bilkis Bano's advocate, when she pointed out that uh, the matter had not been taken up the day after, the CGI said, "So what? Don't keep mentioning this matter again and again." Well, we listed. Review was also circulated yesterday. Earlier, too, Advocate Gupta had asked the CBI as to whether Justice Rastogi would be rescuing himself. To this, the CBI had said only court can decide that. The review has to be heard first. That will come before Justice Rastogi. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, these people are awful arrogant. Anyway, do we have, this was all from my side. Do we have any other questions that you guys might have? Anything else you might want to add? Here you can keep, in the pinned comments, there is this one link that you can use to join the stream if you want to come chat, or if you have any questions, or if you have anything to say, if you want to discuss something. Because that's all from my side. And yeah, if there's anything else that you want to say, then I would be more than glad to hear it. Ouch. I'm just a little, I'm sitting. So I'm just going to look at the comments and see if I've missed anything. If I haven't missed anything and I've replied, responded to all the comments, then I'll just end this broadcast right here. There's nobody. Okay, I've seen all the comments. Like I said, I will, what do you call it? I will put in the link to all the articles that are referred to in this video, in this podcast, in the description, so that you can also take a look at it and read it for yourself, and continue informing yourself about this case if that's what you want. And if you are watching this video at a later time, please make sure that you like and subscribe and leave a comment, because all the comments on the live chat are going to disappear. There are going to be no comments on this post once it is uploaded as a video on YouTube. So if you would be a darling and just leave a nice comment if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, obviously. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you guys next week where we will be talking about something else this time. Jatin says Happy New Year. Yes, yes. Um, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone who joined. I'm so glad that you guys tagged along. And yeah, I hope this new year brings us something good, something exciting, something worth looking forward to. Oh no, my internet is giving out. I miss you. I miss our play. I'm just gonna go hop onto Vimo's live because I'm sure he's taking people this time, and I like talking to Vimo a lot. So happy New Year, everyone! Thank you so much for joining. And yes, I'll see you next week where we'll be talking about something else. So yeah, bye bye.